Hey, you ever wondered how AI can be used in your real estate investing business to maximize your return on your investing and find deals and market your deals? Well, in this video, I'm going to be interviewing Brian Hansen from AI for Business and Real Advisors. Listen, he is the go-to expert right now, in my opinion, when it comes to the benefits of AI. And what you're going to be learning is all the techniques that he has discovered, because this guy is on top of it when it comes to taking AI and doing things with it that I've heard no one else talking about. So if you're a real estate investor or even a small business owner, you want to know how to take advantage of AI other than just writing emails, which most people are doing with it, then you want to watch this video with myself and Brian, because he's going to break it down for you and teach you some things you probably didn't even know existed. All right, let's get started. Well, Brian, hey, thanks for joining us. It's a real pleasure, as I stated, having you on here today. We've got a lot to cover when it comes to using AI for real estate investing. So with that, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Hey, thanks for having me on here, Clint. It's a pleasure to be here. Honored to be on. So my name is Brian Hansen. I'm the co-founder of Real Advisors and AI for Business. I've been teaching business owners and investors how to market their businesses and AI for several years now. So I actually, when I was in my very early 20s, got into the real estate side, just being in that atmosphere. I started working for a gentleman named Ron LeGrand, who is a teacher in the real estate sector, and actually met you many years ago. You may not even remember it. It's been so long. And I kind of been in the field. I started getting a bug for marketing. And I just love everything about marketing, and I became obsessed with it. And over the years, it just continues to evolve more and more every single year. And obviously when AI hit, as a loopholes guy, I've always been kind of intrigued with how to do things smarter and faster. AI was the ultimate. I've never seen anything like it. And we've been using AI to tremendously grow our business like I've never seen before. So I'm able to do things much cheaper, much faster, and get so much more output than I was ever able to do before. So every day that goes by feels like Christmas for me. I'm just continuing to get new tools, test new things, and it's involved into this thing that it's almost hard to explain sometimes. If I could go back in a time machine 10 years ago, I don't know if I could believe myself with what we have at our fingertips today. So
I know, and I can tell you have such a passion for it because, I was just at your event, AI for Business in Las Vegas. And I don't know, you had close to 800 people there. It was a phenomenal event, but just the amount of information you were bringing. I was taking notes nonstop, and I actually called my wife after day one, and she goes, "Well, what do you think?" And I said, "My finger hurts. It reminds me of being back in law school. I had to take the law exam because I was taking so many notes." But just the way you've tapped into this and how you're showing how the models work and how you can turn them into a money-making opportunities for people, because I've heard you say this before, a lot of people think of AI and then you say, "Are you using it?" And they say, "Oh yeah, I'm using it." And you say, "What are you using it for?" "Rewrites my emails." And and that's the problem.
yeah, we've kind of come into this thing where a lot of people ask me what AI can do. And the better question to be asking yourself is what you need done. It's not like when you start to go down the AI rabbit hole, there's no end to it. So like my biggest caution to anybody when they start learning this stuff is be careful. Like, because everything's fun. There's a lot of really fun tools, and you can catch yourself doing a lot of different things that really don't matter at the end of the day. So I basically would encourage people to look at where are the roadblocks in your business, where are the places you're getting stuck, where do you need the most help, and then find the AI that can help with that. And if it can be done online, there's typically an AI for everything. And I think we're going to find ourselves in the future, because right now this has been kind of the year of agents. Next year we're going to start to roll into physical AI. So you're going to start to see a lot of robots and things that are happening outside of the internet. But for right now, if it exists on the internet, typically an AI can do it. I think when people think of AI right now, the first thing that might come to mind for somebody is like ChatGPT. And they may not realize that there's so much more beyond ChatGPT. And there's so many things that ChatGPT and OpenAI can even do that most people aren't even aware of. So like you said, they're using it for emails, things like that. We like to look at what can we automate? what are the processes that we have in our company right now that somebody really doesn't need to be doing, and something can be running around the clock 24/7 without taking breaks or making mistakes. So we just kind of gotten into this place where, like I said, you look at where are the areas in my company that are having the most trouble or I want to see improve, or maybe spending the most hours, and how can we automate some of that stuff. So
Okay, well let's just jump right in because the people that come to this channel, they come here because they want to learn about asset protection and tax planning for real estate investing. So as a real estate investor who's watching this right now and is listening to you, one thing that I keep seeing, and even with my own investing, is sourcing deals right now because it seems to be, the market's different, right? It's still, they say it's moving towards a buyer's market, but the sellers still want those higher prices that they were demanding back in during COVID 2023, right? 2022. And so how are you seeing the use of AI and able to help investors source, some off-market deals? Is there something out there that allows them to do that you've come up with or you've seen to automate it?
yeah, so getting deals, there's a lot of different things that you can do, but I think one of the superpowers with AI is being able to crunch massive amounts of data in seconds. And this used to be something that investors paid, thousands and thousands of dollars for, many times 20 grand and up, just to get a data scientist to give them a list of the most predictable houses that might sell in an area. AI is able to do that in seconds now. So if you got access to data, you can pull like even MLS data, or you have a data source that you can pull from. You can upload that kind of stuff into AI and just ask simple questions, and it can narrow down the greatest possibility of, the likelihood of stuff selling. And so I guess there's different terms like list stacking, but it can pull multiple flags. Like this person might have a city code violation, they might be going through a divorce, bankruptcy, and they'll kind of find the needle in the haystack, as you would say. So focus on these ones first, then these ones, then these ones. Even on the selling side, it can predict like how quickly a home's going to sell. So, if you're looking at like what area should I buy in, before I even start to get into like who might want to sell, I can locate like a street that I know if I buy in this street, I'm probably going to wind up selling it in a few days based on data that it's pulling. And it's up to date, So I would say data crunching is huge. Automating the process so you don't have to kiss as many frogs. So like, unfortunately, you can't like call and text blast, although some people do, but you're not supposed to. You can use it on the other side. So if you're marketing, you can have chatbots running to talk to the people, having one-on-one conversations, or you can use voice bots. Voice bots have come a long way. I didn't really talk about them for a while because they weren't fast enough. It was almost too AI-ish. But the chatbots they're phenomenal. Honestly, when we're running chatbots, we tend to use CloseBot, and the owner Bryce has become a good friend of mine. In my personal opinion, it's the most humanized sounding, but they can't tell that it's a robot. So the advantage of that is it's not some canned message that's going out to your leads that everybody's getting. It's very personalized to their specific situation. And on the other end of the communication is a supercomputer that basically knows everything. So all the public data and all the information in the world, and it sounds like a human being when it's talking. So it's really hard to have, a scalability and volume with AI when you're trying to grow a massive team, because managing people is very, it's tough, especially when you get the numbers up. So when I can run something that can have multiple, thousands of conversations at the exact same time and not miss a beat, and all of them are personalized, not canned messages, it gives you kind of a superpower. So I would say that's another big one, is just being able to weed through the junk. So you're not wasting a lot of time with all the tire kickers that kind of beat you up. And I think it puts investors in almost a different mindset as well, when the only person they're ever talking to is somebody that's excited to talk to them. So otherwise you're getting beat up a lot. They're getting mad that you called. Why are you calling me? All these different things. AI can kind of pre-screen everything. So you're only talking to the people that are motivated and ready to go. So those would be a couple things on the lead generation side. You can automate direct mail to go out and sequences using AI. You can automate voice and have voice conversations. So that could be inbound, or when they get on your list, you can have voice bots call and have conversations to check in with them. I think one of the biggest overlooked things from me, I'm not a big investor. I've bought some creative deals in historically, just a couple, just from being around a lot of investors. I've always been kind of a marketing guy, but I have been around a lot of investors over my time and helping them out with the marketing side. And I find that one thing that I see that gets overlooked a lot is just follow up. So they spend all this money on these leads and then they go at them. And if they don't get a deal, they never talk to those again. And time changes circumstances, especially in real estate. So somebody that might not be motivated today, that whole thing changes 6 months down the line when the house doesn't sell. So everybody's kind of got their window. Some people it's infinite, but others like they're trying to hold out and get the best price. Who wouldn't? But when it doesn't sell and they got this other mortgage that they committed to or whatever their situation is, all of a sudden things do change and they will take a lot less. And AI is just the king of follow-up. So you can kind of set it and forget it, the saying, where it just continues to follow up with all those leads that you paid good money for. And it'll just continue to hit them over and over again until they say, I want to sell or take me off your list, which is kind of what we want. So I think those are probably some big ones, is just the automation, being able to weed through data and focus on the best leads, and then just having your follow-up game be on point. So you don't miss those deals that you were missing before by, nobody wants to follow up. It's a lot of work. That's, historically. But now we have systems where you can have not only all that follow-up going out, but very personalized to their situation. So.
Which is so, I hope the people who are watching this right now are picking up on what you're saying, because I think for many people, until they've actually seen what you've done, like I've seen it and I've listened to it, you don't appreciate that. Because if you've been on the other side of phone calls where you get that phone call, and they're from the Philippines, and they're saying, oh, I'm calling about your house on 345 Apple Lane, Mr. Coons. And it's just one of those calls and there's no connection there. The AI, I hate to say it, it builds that connection to people. And so you're spot on. And for those people who are listening to this or seeing this for the first time, it really does free up your most valuable resource, which is time, and not having to deal with those people, like you said, and to understand that. But the key is also is building those prompts, right? Because this is something that you talk about, that you have to train it. Or you work with a program that's already been trained, but still it requires some effort on your part to put it together, because otherwise you find, and I've been there, and I talked about this on your stage, that you start chasing and the next shiny thing comes up. You're like, oh, wow, that's a cool AI thing. And you never really move forwards because you're always moving sideways, looking at all the new stuff, and it's not advancing your business. So what you've done, I think, I'm totally impressed by it. You can probably tell by just the way I'm reacting. So when we're talking about this conversations, so if you go a little bit deeper on this, because one question that I have is, if you're calling and you're trying to, these AI bots are reaching out to see if people are interested in possibly having a conversation about selling their property, how far can that AI bot go? Can it negotiate terms?
Yeah, technically speaking, you could have it find the leads, data mine the leads, reach out to the leads through something that's not against the law, like doing direct mail, answer the leads that come in, use your framework for your buy box and determine if it's a good deal or not, and then send out a DocuSign to get signed contingent on inspection. So you could literally use AI to get the entire front end of things done, where you're just deciding if you actually want to buy the house. And I didn't know how heavy I wanted to get today, because I know a lot of people might just be getting started out with this. But once again, I can pretty much automate any kind of process that can happen on the internet, even if it's technically impossible. So like, for instance, in the world of technology, a lot of things run by APIs. So if you're getting like data from, let's say, Zillow or something, Zillow has an official Zillow API that I have to use in order to get data from them, or whatever sites that I'm pulling data. They're run by a term called an API that connects to whatever it is that I'm doing. We're at a day and age where you can create your own APIs. So like there's tools like browser-use.com. Actually, the particular one that I'm talking about is skills.browser-use.com. That's a long one. I can create an API. So for instance, I could get on the courthouse records, show how I typically get like a litigation pending file, and go through the entire process. And when I'm done, I hit stop, and it creates an API and automation for that, where it'll do it automatically for me every time from here on out for pennies. So nobody has to do it. It runs automatically. And I created that myself just by sharing my screen and showing what I would typically do manually. I can automate it in less than 5 minutes. And so that's where like this whole world, I just don't think that most people really realize what's possible out there. In fact, browser-use, most people don't know this. That's actually what Manus is built on. A lot of people use a tool called Manus for automations. They built it on top of that tool. That's the framework that they actually use. But you know, that everything in your business could be automated all the way to the close. I would say like I would stop at the inspection part just because you probably need to go look at it, right? But I will say there are tools like RESTB.ai that you can feed it pictures and it'll analyze. It's called computer vision, and tell you what kind of repairs need to be made and estimate the types of repairs that need to be done with the house, telling you kind of exactly what you're dealing with, so you have an idea of what that house might need in repairs before you even see it. And it's cheap. You know, that tool in particular, I think each picture costs 10 cents each. So I think that was a long-winded answer to what you asked, Clint, but
No,
one,
it's great.
I'm excited about this stuff, but once again, I feel like the typical investor has no idea what kind of gold is sitting in front of them right now.
Yeah, and capitalize on those opportunities. So if I'm that investor and I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, wow, I could really scale my business if I had that. So part of what you've been talking about thus far is going out and finding the deals. Now, when we move to the next stage, let's say we have an interested seller and they want to sell. To close on that deal, you talked about, putting up pictures and analyzing what the costs are going to be to do the rehab work and things of that nature and to sell it. But what's that next step? Do you have it do contracts? Is there any danger there in having AI put together your contracts for you to sell property?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that as long as the contracts were created by yourself, and everything, and you had a framework and system to doing it, you could automate that side of it. While AI can actually write the contracts, there's just still room for error, So that's where I still feel like attorneys are a great thing to have on your side. And while you could use you can use AI to help. Like, admittingly, if it's a non-disclosure or something easy, I'll use AI once in a while, but I always want to have contracts created by a legal team. And obviously, you got a great one right on the call with me right now. As far as getting stuff signed, you could definitely have that all done with AI and automated. Just the contract side and making sure you're protected, I would still stick with an attorney with that kind of stuff.
But you draft it, but then you can upload it into the AI when you have it, and then just tell it what to do from there.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. Okay, so you can get through that place, and let's say then you close on the property, and somebody wants to then turn it into a rental. They're not flipping property; they're buying it for investment purposes. So what type of AI tools would you look at if I want to make sure that this property that I'm considering purchasing is going to be able to rent to give me the right cap rate or ROI that I'm looking for?
It just kind of depends. There's a lot of tools out there right now, and it depends what your not even your exit strategy, but what your strategy is with the property. AirDNA is a great tool, but it's that one's specifically for like short-term rental performance. It shows you the demand and the occupancy forecasts and revenue, heat maps, all that kind of stuff for Airbnb type things. There's other tools out there that can help with buy and hold and the Burr method and all those kind of things like House Canary, which actually House Canary is pretty good for evaluating the value of the property. So I know they use billions of data points for their tool, but that one in particular, for example, they have automated valuation models, risk scores, 36-month market forecasts, useful for buy and hold, portfolio level decisions, and you can get a lot of data from a lot of these things. So it does kind of depend on what you're doing, whether it's single family homes or commercial real estate. I know like stuff like Skyline AI is built more for the commercial multifamily investor. You can help you identify underpriced assets, optimize the rents, and score the investments using historical and live market data. So, all of this kind of comes down to what I was saying in the very beginning of the call. It's almost like AI can do everything at this point. And I don't want to say everything, but almost everything. You almost have to figure out like what is it that I do in my business right now and what's possible. And then I'll kind of reverse engineer my business and I'll start using AI to actually give me the answers. Typically when I'm answer seeking, I would use a tool like Perplexity or grok.com, which is free. Those are the best for like real-time answers. And I just ask it like, what are the best AI tools for X? And it'll give me feedback back based on that. On the selling side, it kind of depends on what your strategy is and what you're going to do. But there's a lot of tools out there that can help out with all of that. Just push button. Even getting like some of you might sell to cash investors. Like just another really good example, you can use AI to easily build a cash buyer list. So there's tools like, you can build them yourself even, but there's tools like HeyReach, I think it's .io. It'll scour LinkedIn for a specific type of person. So if you wanted to look for single family home investors, it'll go out and find all of them, friend them, send them a message for you, and do everything while you're sleeping. There's a tool called Yellow Pages Scraper. I got it, I think on AppSumo. I want to say it's like $80 and you get lifetime access, and it'll go out and find every single person that has We Buy Houses or house buyer in their profiles. I ran that for real estate investing as an example, and I got like 20,000 cash buyers that I paid 80 bucks for. Historically, it costs a lot of money to get a cash buyer list. Now I'm just automating the process and getting an entire list literally by pushing a button. So the game's definitely changed.
What's amazing about it has. And so before we got on our call today, I was speaking with my CEO or prior CEO here at Anderson. He's really into AI as well. And he's on this Harvard, I don't know what it is. It's a training program on AI. And the person that is teaching the course, what they've set it up to do is it's an AI. It goes out, it scans your LinkedIn and pulls in data about you, and then it customizes the whole program based upon what it notices your interest. And he said when he's chatting with it, he has no idea he's not speaking to a real person. And so just what you talked about dealing with creating that list of individuals who can be your cash buyers, it can handle, I would imagine, the same thing. It can figure out from their online profiles, going through LinkedIn, wherever else they have info, and then be able to converse with them in a way which, if you'd called me, you're getting a hang up right away because I can tell they know nothing about me. It blows me away. But, with this AI component, though, there's still, the human side, right? You call it a force multiplier, but there's going to be a situation where AI can just do so much for you. Where's that one part of the real estate transaction you think that AI can't replace. You're still going to need the human side.
I think right now going out to the home or going to the signing table, like the inspection side, the legal side, just things that, almost have to be you for right now. Once again, physical AI does start to roll out next year. There's a lot of companies producing bots. I would suspect, when people are a little bit more comfortable with a robot, because it's going to be a little creepy probably at first, they'll even be sending bots out to the houses. We're entering uncharted territory. Um, Tesla alone, I know they're trying to get over 100,000 out next year, but there's a lot of different companies that are producing these bots. Figure, they have theirs in BMW factories in Germany building cars by hand. They have home bots that can do the dishes and laundry that they're about to deploy. So we're going to be entering a whole new era of things. I would say one of the things that I'm most excited about, probably as of today, is probably the automation side of building agents and building apps. So, like, even as a real estate investor, people have no idea how easy it is to build an app, which would typically take months and months of time paying somebody else thousands and thousands of dollars to do it. You could get online right now and build one for your real estate business in about 5 to 10 minutes without knowing a single thing about coding. So there's two specifically that I really love that everybody listening should check out. One is Lovable, and Lovable is a great tool, and the other one's Google's AI Studio. So Google released their own with Gemini 3. Both of those, you just type in plain English and say what you want, and it goes out and builds it. And when I say you don't need to know anything about coding, I mean it. You just say, this is what I want to build. It builds it. If there's something wrong, you say, this is not right, fix it. It fixes it, and it spits out your app. And so, like, just kind of a use case example, because I think in real estate investing, you guys probably use or have seen these, is you can take a property that needs repairs and upload a photo, and it gives you the renders of what it looks like repaired. So it kind of gives you visuals of what it could look like. One, people like to do that just to figure out what the hell they want to decorate. But two, it gives you staging photos. So you could take the same room and put furniture in it and put luxury stuff in it without paying thousands of dollars to a staging company. I can build that app. I could build it right now with you in 5 minutes. So I would go onto Lovable, which also uses Google's tools, and say, I want to create an app that takes a picture of a vacant room in a home and stages it with staging furniture, and I hit the enter button and it builds it in minutes, seconds probably. Sometimes it's done in less than 60 seconds. And those are the same ones that people pay $20 for every photo for. They did the exact same thing. They just didn't know that there's tools that build that stuff like with the snap of a finger now. So those two things get me really excited, because you can build now. You can build agents that autonomize the stuff inside of your business and apps that do things that you typically would have paid for. And now you can build them, in less than 5 minutes. It's crazy.
Yeah, after watching you talk about this, I went out and I built an app for my horrible golf game based upon where the ball lies on the course, uphill, downhill lie, in the bunker, blah, blah, blah. And it took me about 5 minutes, and all he did is exactly what you described. I want an app that's going to teach me how to hold my club, how to swing, blah, blah, in those situations. And I showed it to my friends, and they said, where did you download that? How do you get that? And I said, it was free, man. It didn't take me but a couple of minutes just to tell it what I wanted. And it's got the great UI on it that when you look at it, it's just amazing technology now, how fast it's moving. But what I hope the people who are watching this also understand, the magic part of this. I mean, the systems like you just talked about, building an app, yeah, they can do that for you, but it's the refinement, understanding the prompts that you put in to get the important data out. And I know that you have been talking about that a lot, that just because you can do it doesn't mean necessarily that you should be doing it on your own. You should be working with people, or at least getting educated on it. So could you speak then to what it takes or what you're offering, for those listeners and viewers right now, if they want to proceed forwards and they're thinking, wow, I've never heard someone talk about this stuff before. How do I learn more? Because I know you have something that could really, I think, benefit them.
Yeah, so if you guys wanted to come as a guest, there's no charge to it, but we spend a full 3 days, usually a couple times a month, really diving into how to do all this stuff. Once again, there's no cost to it. It goes from about 11 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but you can sign up for any of them that are coming up. We do them live because we feel like we need to. There's a lot of questions with this kind of stuff, and it's not. It's all content, so you're not going into like a pitch-a-thon or anything. We're gonna give you some really good content, breaking it down. And typically something like this would have been a lot shorter, but we feel like we had to spend 3 days because there's just so much going on. And frankly, I will tell you, by the time the third day ends, we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg. But you can sign up by going to events.aiforbusiness.com. So it's events.aiforbusiness.com. I think we'll drop that in the video here as well. Love to have you. We have so much to share, and there's so much to do with this stuff. Actually, before I hop off, because I think it's so powerful, and I would imagine that many people on here, they're all wanting to find out, like, how do I get more leads? Like, I really want to just do more deals. The kind of things you can do with marketing with this is it's not just the actual trigger of getting the leads, but it's creating the advertisements for it. Like Nano Banana Pro, it sounds kind of funny. It's made by Google, but they just released a new version called Pro. It just came out in the last week, and it can literally just create the coolest ads, and it nails every single word. Like, you could have just paragraphs of content and it'll spell it all right and do whatever you want with it. But if you're trying to create ads, Nano Banana Pro is going to create the most amazing looking ads just by saying exactly what you want. You can make it look however you want, and you can get pro looking stuff. You can run that stuff on, Facebook ads, Google AdWords, and there's tools, there's AI tools even for the marketing. So, like, for instance, I mentioned Google AdWords. It's a great platform to get leads, but it can be very expensive if you don't know what you're doing. There's AI driven tools like semrush.com where it'll literally go out and find all of your competitors' ads campaigns, show you exactly what they're bidding on for keywords, exactly what kind of ads they're running, so what they use for ads. It's basically a competitive intelligence tool that shows you what everybody does. When in the beginning of the call, I told you I like to take data and put it into AI. So I'll download all of my competitors' stuff and I upload all that, which we didn't have this ability before. SEMrush, that actually tool has been around for years, but I'll upload the data into like ChatGPT, and I'll tell it, like, based on all of this data, what are the top 50 keywords that you think are going to turn into the most deals for my real estate investing business? Out of all of these ads that they're running, I want you to read word for word and look at all the frameworks and persuasion tactics and everything they did. What did they do right and what did they do wrong? And then it'll spit it out. I'll say, great. Having said that, let's write an ad that's 100 times better than all of them put together based on the knowledge that you have right now. So we just keep taking the data, uploading data and refining it, and using AI to do it. It just makes your life so much easier. I promise you, when you start to do this, I think typically the problem that people have is they think it's going to be like tech used to be, where even though it might not be hard, it takes hours and hours of time to learn, and it's just not. It's more of figuring out what tools you should be using, which ones are going to be the most effective for business owners and not just shiny toys, which is one of the things that we'll help you with at the 3-day event. But once you start to use them, you're going to kick yourself that you hadn't started doing it sooner. It's very, very easy to do. The results happen very quickly. And once you start to use them, you'll never go back again. You're going to be using them indefinitely.
Yeah, so I've watched that event 3 times. And the reason I watched it 3 times is because when you guys are going through it, you're just dropping so many nuggets. It's hard to catch it all because you're going fast. Hey, you should be doing just like what you just said right there. If you just took that one piece from this event, right, or from this episode right now, what could someone be doing that with their business? If they just learned that one piece right there, I mean, how many more deals could you be bringing in by understanding how to use SEMrush to create your ads, because I've used SEMrush and I've used it for years. And now, first thing I'm going to do when I get off this, I'm calling my marketing department and I'm going to ask them, hey, are you using it this way? Listen to what Brian's talking about, because that's the key. Is if you don't know it, then there are other people out there. Once they figure it out, they're going to be light years ahead of you. So, hey, it's great having you on. I know you had to cut out some time here. You're down in an event right now because you're so sought after for this information. So I really appreciate you taking this out of your day to spend some time with us here on my channel to help get this information out. Anything else you want to leave in passing?
I would just say thanks for having me on, Clint. You blow me away when you speak. You're just a wealth of knowledge. I feel privileged to be on here with you today. So I appreciate the time. You guys have any questions, connect with me. You can find me on Facebook. It's probably the place that I'm on the most. My name is Brian Hansen once again, and I'd love to help you guys out. So thanks again. Appreciate it, and well, have a good day, everybody.
Hey, thanks for coming on. Guys, check out the link. You will not be disappointed. I guarantee it. Take care.